Do more. That seems to be the mantra of modern America. Make more money, buy more things, exercise more, accumulate more interests, hobbies, clothes, books. With the drive to maintain 2 jobs or monetize all of your side hustles just to make an income, with the unprecedented financial strain that young people face, it's hard not to feel like you need to do more. It's hard to separate time from money, leisure from productivity, and doing less isn't something that we usually plan into our days or weeks. Doing less might seem like an impossible task. It might seem difficult to scale back or ask yourself to cut down on what you're doing when you're still in a busy, overworked life, when it feels like everything you're doing is essential. Often the solution is not just to cut back, but to find a way to do nothing for a period of time. Over Thanksgiving, my wife and I had members from both of our sides of our families coming to our house, which meant we had up to 10 people crammed in our house at points. And it was a lot of having fun, playing card games, cooking, cleaning, talking, sharing meals together. But it also meant I didn't get any work done. I had the week off from my job, and I also didn't really get time to just sit down and do any of the things I would normally do. I didn't get time to journal, to create, to write. I didn't get time to work on my routines or my habits. I didn't even really get time to exercise. All my time was spent focused on others. If I wasn't cooking a big vegetarian meal that would even satisfy the meat eaters in the house, or doing tons of dishes after cleaning up from a meal, I was playing the new WarioWare game on Switch with my brothers, or playing a card game at the table. I seriously threw out my routines for the entire week. We even slept on an air mattress in the back area to give up our bed to some of our guests. As you can probably imagine, on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, when everybody had left to go back home, it was jarring how quiet it was, and we were tired. We had folding tables to put away, laundry to do, dishes to wash, air mattresses to fold up. But as I started to take time and reflect on the past week, on the time with others, on the time that broke my routine, it illuminated a lot of lessons for me. Above all, the time off, the time with family showed me that I value productivity and stability too highly. I tend to think of all of my time as trade-offs. I could spend time with family, or I could spend time making money or getting stuff done off of my to-do lists. And thanks to a steady job, I can compute the time value of my money. I can figure out how much I would make in an hour, or selling clothes on eBay or Depop for an hour. I can figure out exactly how much money I can make in an hour, how much that time is worth to me. In fact, if I let myself, I can plan each day down to the 30-minute interval, and I often do. I'll look at the day ahead, I'll look at all the tasks I need to get done, I'll set an overly ambitious schedule trying to get tasks done every 30 minutes or hour, and inevitably I start to fall behind, something takes longer, and then that effect snowballs, and I'm left feeling guilty about not being productive enough. And then I pressure myself to work harder instead of giving myself the break that I so clearly need. And it can be hard to identify these feelings in real time. When you've consistently put pressure on yourself to perform better, it can be hard to realize that that's harmful. Or when self-deprecating thinking is the norm for you, and it's been the norm for years, it can be hard to break that cycle, to identify it when you're in that cycle. And that's why taking a step back, doing nothing for a period of time, like I did over Thanksgiving break, is a helpful way to illuminate these harmful ways of thinking. But once I'm able to identify those harmful ways of thinking, I can start to create safeguards against them. Maybe the solution looks like giving myself guilt-free time off each day, a couple hours before bed or at some other point in the day when I can just do whatever I want, where if I'm scrolling social media or mindlessly watching TV, I don't have to feel bad about it. Or maybe I can get lost in a book and not keep track of time, just focus on the pages instead of focusing on how long I have to read before I need to move into the next thing. Or maybe it's that I reprioritize my thinking in my head. If some task goes longer, or if I start to feel like I need rest, maybe that becomes a priority over the rest of my to-do list, and I don't feel guilty about it because that is more important than my to-do list, and I sort of train myself to get into that mindset. Without giving myself grace and flexibility to really get engaged in leisure time, I miss out on a lot of good rest. I also miss out on some amazing feelings, like the feeling of getting so absorbed in something that you lose track of time. After all, if I'm always tracking time, I can never lose track of it. Of course, if you don't have the ability to take multiple days off to do nothing for a whole week like I did, there are ways to implement the practice of nothingness into your day-to-day life. Maybe it's that you wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally would to be able to go on a technology-free walk where you can just think. Maybe it's practicing healthy ways of thinking when you get into bed. Instead of focusing on stress, maybe you get into bed, sit there and just really reflect on all the positive things that happened that day, the things you can do differently, and focus on positive things before you go to bed. The key idea is that nothingness is a break from your usual routine. When you're in your routine, it's hard to see outside of it. Your brain goes on autopilot, your senses shut down because it's the usual, it's the thing you always do. So when you break the routine, when you give yourself a period of nothingness, you have to really focus on how you're feeling, what you're doing. It breaks up all the patterns that you had been used to. So to implement the practice of nothingness, you need to break your routine. You need to give yourself downtime at a new point in your routine so that you can analyze everything that came before your brain gets to go on autopilot for days at a time. Doing nothing will break your routines, will give you the space to see where you could eliminate redundancies to free up more time, what things you're not happy about that you want to change, and what it is you really love doing. So next time you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or burnt out, try doing nothing. It might be exactly what you need to show you the way forward.